working with India's greatest filmmakers. She's won a record five national awards, among dozens of other honors, the latest of which came quite recently at the Los Angeles Film Awards, where she won Best Actress for her role in Black Prince, a film about the extraordinary relationship between Queen Victoria and Maharaja Dalip Singh. That's hopefully coming to the UK as well. She's also been widely honored for her work as a humanitarian and an advocate for social justice as well, including receiving the Gandhi International Peace Prize upstairs in the House of Lords in 2006. It is more than appropriate that she is here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Shabana Azmi.
Thank you very much. Good evening, friends. At the onset, I wish to thank ILUK for inviting me here to speak at this prestigious room at the House of Commons. I have been a member of the Rajya Sabha, the upper house in India's parliament, and I'm cognizant of the fact that I have been fortunate to be a citizen of a democracy like India, where I have the freedom to stand before you and speak my mind, just as the British Parliament accords freedom to all her citizens. Yesterday was International Women's Day, and it is important that we salute the women who did pioneering work in granting equality and paving the way for us to be able to demand our rights today. Let us remember the women who all came up together and went on an international strike to demand equality in what was a very hostile environment. And their slogan was, "If you do not value our lives, then produce without us." Today it is recognized the world over that the true yardstick of a nation or a society's progress is not merely its GDP, but as Professor Amartya Sen says, it's HDI, it's Human Development Index, in which access to equality, access to education and health are necessary indicators, and most importantly, empowerment of women is perhaps the most important of all. ILUK has a formidable 16,000 members, and its motto is Empowered Women, Empowering Women, because women anywhere must stand together in solidarity and in sisterhood. ILUK believes that a deep-rooted understanding and appreciation of one's culture is vital in helping to understand one's adopted culture, thereby improving and strengthening a better integration of the migrants. The topic that I have been given today is to speak on identity and integration, a very, very important topic in today's world, where the discourse is taking a shape we don't want it to go to. We need to recognize that today migrants are not separate from the mainstream. In fact, in most countries, they are the mainstream, and we must stop regarding them as the other if we have to reach any understanding of the complexities of identity and integration. In the present political scenario, with Donald Trump's vision of integration, or in the wake of Brexit, or closer home, the rise of the BJP, the fundamental question is, how do we embrace diversity and celebrate multiculturalism? To me, the strength of any democracy can be measured by the degree to which it celebrates pluralism and inclusiveness of its minorities, whether the rights of different religious practices, ethnicity, language, sexual preferences are accommodated with respect, not merely tolerated, but of course within the boundaries of the law of the land. We live in a world which is increasingly being confronted with disorder, a world where maldistribution of wealth is high, Our world has never been richer, but the intensity of poverty is unprecedented. In such a milieu, how do we deal with marginalization and inequality? How do we give coherence, meaning and purpose to our emergent reality and create harmony instead of accelerating disorder and a sense of alienation? The global systems of balance of power cannot be based on military intervention, nor must they be based on economic leverage alone. We see a world where democracy is being replaced by regulation and free markets are places where lives of millions are being traded. How does one define democracy in a milieu where dissent and choice are being muzzled in the name of nationalism? We live in a world where misogyny is evident in the violence on women. 1 in every 3 women, making it 1 billion women worldwide. There has not been a bigger civil war on this planet against any class. And in this context, if we do not look at the world from the eyes of the most excluded women, then we haven't touched the question of identity at all. A democratic nation must guarantee equality, justice, and freedom. This promise must remain immutable, sacred, and supreme. It grants us rights and demands responsibility. Our responsibility as citizens is to improve our ability to see the whole and not just the parts. We need institutions that synthesize rather than divide. In diverse society, this is easier said than done. Total uniformity as a model of integration cannot and must not be demanded. I repeat, total uniformity as a model of integration cannot and must not be demanded. Neither can we allow groups to be so separated from each other that it leads to complete disintegration. Common identity is important, but finding the right balance is the key. This balance can only be achieved, as Professor Rajiv Bhargav says, through experimentation. There is neither a formula for it, nor the same solution for all societies. Mistakes will be made, but if everyone is agreed that we are involved in a common project, it is achievable. Is there enough evidence in the world that this crucial balance is being maintained? I'm afraid the answer is not very reassuring. Minorities are feeling helmed in, feeling their freedoms are being taken away, feeling that they are being pushed into the binary of either you are with us or against us. A binary in which any criticism of the state is labeled as anti-national. We see an attempt to silence critical voices and threaten them into submission, into towing the line. This doesn't augur well for our future. As Arundhati Roy warned us, the new wars will be fought not with weapons, but something even more potent. They will be fought with anger. Anger slips by immigration unnoticed. It doesn't show up in customs, unquote. So if we agree that this is the diagnosis, then we must work towards providing the correct medication. Not medication which merely soothes the symptoms, but medication that attacks the malaise at its roots. So the question which begs to be asked is what constitutes a person's identity? I would argue that identity is not fixed. It's fluid. It's like water, which takes on the shape of the vessel in which it is contained. If you ask me who I am, I will say I'm a woman, I'm an Indian, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm an actress, I'm a Muslim, I'm an activist, etc., etc. My being Muslim is only one aspect of my identity. But unfortunately, it seems in the world as though concerted effort is being made to push identity into the religion one was born into at the absence of all other identities. This is not true. This must not be accepted. Because to me, my cultural identity is my most important identity. I grew up in a family where there was a complete absence of religion because my father was a member of the Communist Party of India and there was no religious indoctrination at all. But there was a great celebration of the Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, of our composite culture. And I remember that all festivals were celebrated with equal pomp and splendor, whether it was Holi, Diwali, Eid, or Christmas. I remember being taken to the Sarvajanik Ganpati Mandals. I remember singing hymns and singing carols at Christmas time. So what I had in my childhood was a very strong sense of my composite culture. When you push me and say that my religious identity is my most important identity, then you are not fair to me. So I beg to say that when we talk of identity, culture should be one of its most important constituents. I am an Indian Muslim, but I feel no affinity to the Saudi Arabian Muslim. I feel so much closer to my Indian, Hindu, Christian, Sikh friends. What I have with them in common is a shared history, a shared identity, and a shared future. As a Muslim in India, because I live in a democracy, I have a stake and a claim in aspiring to be the President of India, a world-famous cricketer, a global film star, a successful entrepreneur, because I have the space and the opportunity to dream and the wherewithal to attain it. Which is not to say that everything is hunky-dory. Of course there are problems. There are problems everywhere in the world. But the good news is that in India we have a very robust, active civil society that is offering resistance and demanding equality and justice. And my salute to those brave men and women, particularly university students today, that are standing up against the status quo. So what I ask of you is, do not box me. Do not try to restrict me in the desire to integrate. For narrow political gain, do not polarize the atmosphere and force people to create what they call a model community. A model community of women, Dalits, tribals, or any other label that can be used to make me feel like the other. What stands true for me stands true everywhere in the world, whether in Britain or in USA or in any country that calls itself a democracy. We must all work together to remove the construct of the other gender, the other race, the other nation, the other religion. We fear what we do not know, and that's where culture becomes our most effective means of understanding a people. Not so long ago, it was not so uncommon for Indians to be asked whether they still lived in trees or whether bullock carts in cities was the only mode of transport. And we are guilty of being equally ignorant about other cultures. But the world is changing, and the time is right for us to seize opportunity with both hands. The advent of satellite television, technology, the explosion of the social media are lifting the shrouds in which cultures were denied visibility. As an artist, I seek to use my art. As an artist, I seek to use my art to soothe, to excite, to provoke, to entertain. Because I believe art has the possibility to create a climate of sensitivity in which it is possible for change to occur. Today, a call to integrate must remain a complex one with many layers. It must recognize that identity is not static. It flows and changes. Identity is not a melting pot in which individual identities are submerged. It must be like a colorful mosaic where each piece retains its uniqueness whilst contributing to a larger whole. Separate but equal. Separate but equal is what I demand and will fight for with every breath I take. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Shabana. I'm very happy to also note that both sides of the political divide in the United Kingdom is now represented. Mr. Bob Blackman, the MP for Harrow East, a Conservative MP, is also here. Mr. Blackman, can I trouble you to say a few words? Or is it too late?
No, nothing too late.
Never too late. Thank you, sir.